the host of the game last night, Cap. Olivia Christian joining us here following the Kings' victory last night. Maybach, what's happening?
Hey, so excited for the Kings. What a fun game that was.
That was a fun game.
It's always fun when they whoop the Lakers' ass. Like, it's always good.
It's always a good day when you can beat LA, baby.
Yeah, and truth be told, especially with the way things went Monday, the Lakers, sure, it's a little extra, but I would have been happy if it was the Rockets. Yeah. Just going out there and taking care of business the way they did last night. It was perfect.
I do enjoy when the camera kind of pans to somebody in the arena and they've got their full Laker gear and they're just sitting with their arms crossed, mad.
I respect my man who got caught on camera a couple of times. He had a I don't know if it was a jersey or a shirt, but it said LeBron in the Lakers font. So there was no questioning what he was there for. He was just there for the King. Bruh, how have we not talked about his Instagram post yet? Did y'all see LeBron's Instagram post?
That made me laugh. That made me laugh.
Oh,
I haven't seen it. What happened? What did he put up there?
This dude was working out in the Golden One Center, home of the Sacramento Kings. And in the background, the video boards are moving. And my man took the S off of Kings. So it just said King right underneath him or right above him as he was shooting.
I thought that was clever.
I would have done it.
Yeah, I thought that was clever. That was pretty smooth. It don't look as good when they beat your ass.
But it's funny.
It was pretty cool.
It's funny though when you look at the picture, when you when you blow it up, he literally scribbled it out. It wasn't photoshopped out. He took the pen app on the phone and just scribbled it out.
That's something I would do. Definitely. Yeah. I did see that on Twitter. I didn't know it came from his Instagram story.
Funny. Yeah, man. I thought that was clever, but you gotta take all the memes and jokes when that team beats the hell out of you.
That's a Russell Wilson level of corniness right there. That was funny.
I think LeBron handles criticism well, though. I mean, he's constantly getting made fun of his predictions and I did it first, or I claim this. I read books all the time and bringing them into you aren't reading that book. We already know you. But I feel like he takes the abuse really well because he also gets praised really well. I think last week was it that Barkley on TNT, they have the best after show. He was like, I feel like it's a conspiracy. Barkley said, I think it's a conspiracy that we have to keep talking about the Lakers when they're this terrible. What other 14-seeded team do we talk about this much? I'm like,
spot on too. He's spot on. And then this is, I don't know if you saw, but we were talking about Tim Bontemps and his incompetence that he spewed on ESPN. And this is the thing that it's kind of opened my eyes to this. I kind of already knew it because of some other stuff with baseball and the Giants back when they were breathing and had life. I would hear how people would talk about them when they were winning championships. And it's not so much in football because football is a little more, national. But I see it now where a lot of these people who cover the game, talk about the game or whatever, they don't really watch basketball like that. They watch the same 7 teams and they get up here and they talk all the time yeah, this is my podcast and I'm talking about the NBA. Bro, you don't cover the NBA. You cover the Lakers.
You say 7 teams in what you but more specifically mean is 7 players.
7 players too, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You're watching LeBron or Giannis or Steph or wherever the hot KD, Kyrie, wherever the hot story is.
Absolutely. And then it's interesting to hear Charles say that because I think that's spot on. Why would we talk about the Lakers right now? I don't care if they have LeBron James. I love LeBron James. Why would we talk about them right now?
But that's why.
I think they be talking about the Lakers even without Bron.
Really?
I do. They talk about them. They were on national TV a bunch when they were getting number 2 pick in the draft all the time.
Well, it's a storied franchise, right? So they're going to get some play, maybe a little bit overplay. But I feel like Charles was hitting the nail on the head. It's too much for where they are, where their seat is. We don't talk about the Washington Wizards the way that we talk about the Lakers. They're in the same boat. But I do think for a certain demographic within media, LeBron James has been in the league for 20. Every time there's a game, he's going to be 38. In 2 weeks, he's been in like 20 years. So you just keep going back to the same themes and conversations, which doesn't allow you to really dive into the evolution of the game, who these next players are, these teams that have really transitioned, put a good roster together, and talk about them in a genuine way, and talk about their talents and their ability and likeliness going to be all-stars if everything's fair, if we're calling it fair. But they kind of just stick to the same storylines and are expecting greatness game after game. And it's like, maybe he's on the other side of this. Maybe we should be talking about some teams that are up and coming. The West is an incredible conference right now. A lot of good conversations happening, a lot of good players, and I think they deserve some airtime. But
the reason why, though, I'm sorry to cut you off. The reason why is, and Charles may do it himself, but Kenny and Shaq, they're not watching the Kings. They're not sitting there watching the Kings. And this is what I get back to, not even like
Kenny showed us that earlier this year when he made the remark about the bean.
Yeah, I was like, "What the hell did I show you?"
Just Kenny Smith. Sorry, Kenny Smith.
But
Kenny Caraway knows basketball.
Yeah, but even I don't even want to say like no basketball. Like I don't think Tim Bontemps knows basketball. Those guys,
Kenny knows basketball,
but
Kings
they don't
basketball.
watch the game.
Yeah,
they watch 5 players, like you mentioned, and that's it. And how are you going to get on? They're not going to set themselves up that way, because you're going to get on there and EJ's like, hey, let's talk about, the Kings 17-13 start, and they're going to look like fools, or let's talk about.
They're going to look like big Tim Bontemps looked in that clip we played earlier.
Or they're going to, hey, Kenny, what you think about Orlando? They won 6 or 7, and Paolo's looking great. Bo, like, tell us about that. He ain't watched Orlando. He don't know what's going on. So they're never going to make themselves look that way. So they just fall back to the old, let's talk about the Lakers.
Well, I also think they're waiting for teams to really do something, right? Like you might be having a great season and you've turned things around to a certain extent. You've got some players, again, like I said, you've built a great roster. You got a great coach. Expectations are high, but we're at a point in the season where as fans, we've been watching the Kings grow, but as commentators, at least on a national scale, they're thinking like you haven't really done anything yet. You've done more than what we expected, more than maybe what you even expected. But until you get at least to, all-star break or something, and we aren't going to give you that much attention. It's sad. It's, we deserve it. But I still think the Kings as an organization, as a franchise, you're climbing out of a big hole that you created for yourselves for 16 years. So to expect the national media to be watching it as closely as we want them to be, I think it's a lost cause. Should they be watching it closer? Should they be watching some of these games because we're beating really great teams? Yes, but it's just like getting foul calls. Until you win, until you have certain players getting a different level of respect, you're not going to get some of these questionable calls. You're going to have Domantas, Sabonis on the court hemorrhaging and De'Aaron Fox hemorrhaging from his face. It's not, they don't deserve it. But I still think that's the reason, until you really do something. And God willing, they'll do it this year, at least getting to the playoffs. That really changes the conversation around a team. Once you get into the playoffs, make a good show of it, it can change the national media's conversation.
Well, you asked for greatness on a night in, night out basis, and you've got that in Domantas Sabonis. Domantas Sabonis is great.
He's so good. He's better than what I was expecting. And last year, of course, he came in mid-season. We have some coaching changes, getting situated, the weather change, whatever it is. But to see what he has done in these first few games, just the way he's just been dominating, it's pretty amazing. I do think the conversation around Domas is changing. I don't know why there's question marks on some of these tweets about whether or not he deserves to be an all-star. Mm-hmm. But the brutality he has to take on, he can't just play, right? He's got to be able to play these really great giant players, but also battle against calls and no calls, and be able to get up off the floor, dust stuff off, take a breath. His dad and mom are taking deep breaths and praying for him, trying to survive, 48 minutes, but he does it night in and night out. And I think it's pretty amazing.
I forgot how big his dad was.
He's
every time they kept shot, I was like, God bless it. I forgot what a big man he was.
He was a giant. I think officially, wasn't he 7'3" or something like that?
Yeah, I don't remember. But every time they showed him,
7'3" and thick.
That's right.
That's what I was going to say. He's not just 7'3" because he's
girth, I believe was the word we were looking for. He's got a lot of girth to him.
I didn't say that, Dad.
Shout out Morgan Reagan in Las Vegas. That shot he took to the head was scary. That's probably the scariest shot he's took all year. That was frightening.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm worried about him.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I had to go to a bar last night to watch. I went to 2 bars. The first bar I went to, they're like, we have to shut down. We're losing our staff. I'm
like, in 2023, bar hopping with Maybach O.
I'm like, what time do you guys go? We're closing at 9:00. So then I had to run to the or they were closing earlier than 9. They were closing typically at 9, but it was like 7:30. I'm like, can I get through the first quarter before I have to run down the street?
That actually, I don't mean to cut you off. That actually is embarrassing. I mean, you're talking about LA, and there ain't no bar shutting down in Sacramento at 9:00 while the Kings are playing.
Well, I'm trying to think. When I was there for the Warriors game and I wanted to go to a couple restaurants downtown afterwards, there weren't a lot of places open.
Well, that was Sunday. And it was,
is that Sunday thing?
Yeah, Sunday thing. I don't know where you was at because it was live that night.
I was with you. Remember? I was with you. We went to see Warren G afterwards.
Yeah, we went to, I don't know what you did afterwards. We went to Yard House. We could have went down K Street. You was ready to go back to the hotel.
All right. Well, Yard House. There's a Yard House down the street from my house. But you know what I don't like about certain sports bars is they don't ever pick a TV and play the sound. If it's a sports bar, like I want to hear stuff or at least have the captions. So last night, the second bar I went to, I think there was 12 TVs in that bar. I like this bar generally, but I stopped going because the service is terrible. But they had no sound, no captions. So I very rarely could understand like who the foul was on. I'm looking at Domantas getting smacked in the head. I'm like, I want to be able to hear what's happening. Like, what is it, a concussion? Or are they going to drag him out? What's going on? And there weren't any fans of the Lakers that were in the bar. Not enough to even like really be watching the game. So like my thing for a sports bar is I need to hear at least the sound from one game. Even if it's not the game that I'm on, I want to be able to hear the sound or read some captions and be in there with sports fans. And downtown LA, I don't think it's a great place for it. It's more like a fashion and photography and art place.
LA ain't about sports. I've been trying to tell y'all that for 2 years. LA ain't about sports.
It is. It's not just
LA is about Hollywood. They ain't about sports.
Nah, I disagree. They're about.
I disagree.
This Lakers team is just sorry.
They about the Lakers when they good, when they can win.
They
ain't about the Lakers.
You can say that. You can say that.
I agree with that, but you're competing like this kind of town and like New York and some other places. There are a lot of different things for people to do. And you have a lot of people coming in from outside of the area. So they're not necessarily fans of whatever local team there is. But at the same time, like I said, I prefer to watch it at home because I want to be able to hear the conversation. I want to hear the conversation about how players are on the ground, like what kind of injury it was. So I'm in the bar like freaking out about Domas because he sits down for a minute, takes a breather and gets back up, but he was sitting down for a long time.
Wow.
I'm like, I'm getting on Twitter trying to figure out what happened and looking around and nobody's paying attention to the game like I am. Plus they didn't have potato skins, which is a terrible, what kind of sports bar doesn't have potato skins?
Just give me a burger and fries. I don't need,
what were you eating? Like fried cheese? What was that?
Mozzarella sticks.
Come on, man.
That's what I had on the plate.
It's not my bag. It's not my bag. Give me a burger and fries. Make sure the fries are good enough salt on them. Come on.
Yeah, fries.
But all in all, watching that game while I was eating my mozzarella sticks very happily. I didn't eat all of them. I had some restraint there, Damian. I left 3 on the plate. I could see, obviously, the intensity of the game. The Lakers were hanging in there, 9 or 10 points, and the Kings didn't let up. The Kings didn't open the door. Domas continued to hit the boards really hard. And I know that sounds weird, but also they continued to run. They continued to run and have movement without the ball, which opens up layups and dunks and obviously opens up the perimeter. And we were knocking down threes. But overall, I think that was a really great game just because of the level of expectation. And they showed up for it. And over like Domas's his grit, his grind, his ability to withstand these ridiculous injuries. I'm worried for him because that stuff adds up over time. But he continues to show great control over his body. And I mentioned, I'm like, if they hand off the ball to him in transition, he comes up behind their point guard and is getting into position and they hand it off to him. He doesn't like steamroll ahead. He doesn't lose all body control. He's able to slow himself down or speed himself up, get himself in a position under the basket to get a rebound, to get a putback, whatever. So I just really enjoy that part of his game, in addition to, of course, being able to withstand being knocked around on the head and the legs and the face, on the neck, all of those places, all above the shoulders, but very rarely called flagrant fouls.
Yeah. What do you think about De'Aaron getting tossed last night? De'Aaron's up to 7, and I didn't realize it was this high till Jesse looked it up. De'Aaron has 7 technical fouls this year.
Oh wow, that does seem. I'm
Yeah,
trying to
he's
think.
had it. He's fed up.
He is absolutely fed
he
up.
is fed up.
I feel like it's one of those things where he's trying to get attention, right? And he needs to do that in order. He's got to get angry. He has to get after it if he wants to get the calls. It doesn't seem right. Obviously, if a foul is a foul, just call it. But I like the anger. If you need to get tossed, if you need to get a technical, whatever it does to help motivate your team and then bring other people, other audience members, like the referees, to the attention of what kind of fouls you're enduring, then you got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
He was at the line 9 times.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess that's part of the story. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's
not a lot if you're Trae Young or some of these other guys in the league, but that's a lot for De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, and if you're getting fouled, you're getting fouled. I don't care if I went to the line 14 times. If I got fouled on this drive, make the call.
Well, that's too much to ask. Clearly, as we saw last night, as he was fouled, I think 2 or 3 times on that single possession that got him tossed.
Yeah.
Damn near probably got Kevin Hurt tossed too.
Right. I thought everybody was getting a tech at that point. I thought Mike Brown got one. I thought Herbert got one. But, De'Aaron, one of the things about his game that I like this year, and I hope he gets rewarded, is that even though he's not always getting the calls, it's not stopping his relentlessness to the cup. He's still looking to attack. He's still looking to drive to the basket. I think for the most part, he's always looking to finish at the rim. He's not looking for a foul call. Hopefully at some point he starts to get the benefit of the doubt at the line, but I like that it hasn't affected the way he plays the game.
I do too, but honestly, I feel like that's the case for every player on the court for the Kings. I don't think they're ever really deterred from playing their game. Even if they're meeting people at the rim, guys who might be bigger than they are, they're going to challenge every shot. And they're going to get after it and attack the basket on their end of the floor. And I think it's because Mike Brown has got them bought in. And you have a lot of success when you play this way. You're not always going to get the call, obviously, but you can't let that affect the way that you approach the game, especially when you've had so much success doing what you're doing. Eventually, shots will fall. Eventually, you'll get some calls. But it helps to keep everyone in balance if you're continuing to buy into what you've put together. This is how we approach the game. This is where we put ourselves in the best position to be successful. It's when we're driving to the baskets, when we're constantly moving. We're moving. We're not afraid to go up against some big guys. Like if Giannis is in there and he's attacking the rim, I don't feel like the Kings ever really back down, even when they're undersized one-on-one, where they're going to keep making it as difficult as possible for anybody to get in there. And that is supportive of all of the different people who are rotating with Domas. You have to keep that same level of energy and effort in order to really be able to pull out some of these big wins. You can't back down. And I think that's for Darren Fox.
You sound like Mike Brown right now. You sound like Mike Brown did the other night.
Well,
Coach O.
I think it's all about consistency, right? If you know what can bring you success, don't let other people try to take that away from you. You just keep going hard. Don't be afraid about, getting swatted into the stands. Don't be afraid about missing a couple of threes. Shoot your shot, get after it. And again, you're going to find some success, but it does take that consistency, that boldness to not be afraid about the outcome. You got to know your role, know your place, and work together as a team. And they're continuing to do that really well. And I think that's what fuels their energy. That's why their bench can come in and not drop off. They can even sometimes add to the lead because you're rotating in some guys who aren't going to run in there and try to make a mark for the sake of making a mark on a game. They're in there to ignite, to play their role, and to add whatever they can in terms of energy and effort. And it's addictive. It's something that is contagious. And I think if they continue to do that, we're going to continue to see more success. And again, hopefully get some of these guys added to the All-Star game.
Coach O.
You sounded Coach them up.
Yeah, you sounded exactly, because everything that you said that they have to do with is exactly what they didn't do on Monday against Charlotte. And that's why they lost. And that's why they got beat up by Mason Plumlee. So basically, to summarize what Olivia just said, don't get beat up by Mason Plumlee
And Nick Richards.
and Nick Richards.
Nick Wilt Richards.
My goodness.
But honestly, also you can get beat up sometimes, right? Any given night, any team can win. We lost against Charlotte on
Now you
Monday.
sound like Al Pacino. Man.
What you gonna tell?
Channeling all the coaches.
They lost to the Clippers by like 30 last night.
Well, what you gonna do next? You gonna tell Keegan Murray?
Yeah.
Go out there and play like you're in the hood.
Keegan Murray, what a special kid. What a special kid. He's doing good stuff out there.
He's starting to turn up a little bit.
Yeah,
Not
but
according to Mike Brown. On the floor.
Yes.
On the floor, he started. Yeah. On the floor, he's starting to turn up. Because according to Mike Brown, he was not turning up when he got the defensive player of the game chain.
That was funny. We'll have to play that clip.
That's funny. You got Mike. We'll play that clip. That was tremendous. It was tremendous. But I'm with you. I love that. I love the way. Yeah, Keegan's starting to. I think last night matched his career high.
Yeah,
23 matched his career high.
Starting to percolate his
a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Almost smiled too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, he's getting a little comfortable. I think I saw some sides of his mouth go up a little bit after he made a couple. Like,
he did it right, and he tries to fight it. It's like he doesn't want to smile, so he like fights it off, and it's like that awkward like little grin. Yeah. But he did give us a little Tiger Woods after he picked up the charge. So, got it.
Yes, you can enjoy yourself out there, Keegan. Enjoy yourself. Domas is like that too. He doesn't smile that much, but I like to see him when he's skipping to the sidelines at a timeout. He puts a little grin on his face. I'm like, I like to see the fun on their face.
Somebody who was staring down the Kings bench, and he's feeling good last night. He's feeling dominant.
Dominant.
He's been dominant.
How do you feel about to go away from the Kings real quick before you get out of here? How do you feel about NBA basketball on Christmas Day? I love it. It's one of my favorite NBA days of all time. Are you like, I'm gonna watch all 5 games, or you're just gonna pick and choose which one?
I'm gonna watch all 5 games. I'm gonna wrap presents that I already bought for myself, so I have something to do in the morning and be like, oh my God, I bought a necklace. Thank you, Santa. And then watch basketball all day. I love it. And I love that this weekend has football all day Saturday, everything on Sunday. It's gonna be great.
So I want to try to set the timeline. You're gonna wrap the gifts in the morning.
I don't know why.
That's fine. They're your gifts. They're gifts for you. Are you unwrapping them in the evening?
I'm not wrapping them on Christmas Day. I bought stuff for myself. I will wrap them. And then on Christmas morning,
you'll open it on Christmas.
Got
I'll open them and watch basketball.
That makes a little more sense.
Got you. Okay, no, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense whatsoever. But it does. I mean, it makes more sense than what I thought you said. So
the single life. That's what you do. You got to give presents to yourself. All my nieces and nephews just want money.
Yeah,
so
what you talking about? What do you mean? Yeah, what you talking about?
You hold on, because I'm gonna put this up on the screen too, because some people heard you say shoot your shot.
Yeah.
What
you talking about?
You're not single.
Yeah,
I'm not married though. I'm not married.
On your taxes,
would you tell your man that you're single?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. But I just meant in terms of
like alleged man, by the way. This alleged man.
Photos. You both have seen photos.
I also saw LeBron James working in front of a sign that said King. So anything is possible. So your sister hasn't met this man.
Are we really talking about this on the radio right now?
We were talking about poop last week.
More.
You see how great they're playing now? Free and light and running up. And I was right about the poop.
See,
I'm telling you, we all operate better when we're operating better. I'm telling you, you know this.
Ryan, Patrice, peed on Kenny.
This show's wild.
Well, and Trista ain't even here yet. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
we love you to death. Enjoy basketball and unwrapping the presents that you bought for yourself. And that case of Luke Belair and McQueen and the Violet Fog gin that you got over there stashed to the side.
Hey,
Olivia, you making that real quick, like 20 seconds? You making that move up for the greatest Saturday night of all time?
Oh, yes, I will be there.
I'm trying to let the people know. Give them something to be excited about. So you guys heard it here first. January 7th, Golden One Center. Maybacko will be in the building along with Tristan.
And that's a Saturday
and Sarah
night.
And Morgan, right? Are all the baddies?
Well, Morgan will be working. I'm sure Sarah will be working too. So
And
yeah,
Sarah might be able to work on the Kings game. Ain't nothing going on.
yeah, I'm quite
she'll be there.
positive.
There's more surprise guests on this one night only tour.
This night is it's going down. It is going
Kyle
down.
Madsen
January
gonna be in the
2nd.
building.
Kyle said he's coming.
Yeah.
Oh, yay. Well, I want to be able to be invited to the pregame that you all are having with other folks. I know you're doing.
Up to Kenny. Kenny's got to contact Mr. and Mrs. Morton to try to get us his special table. But yeah, it's going down January 7th.